Taijiquan, or Tai Chi boxing, was one of the most deadly martial arts in Chinese history, developed by the Daoist immortal Zhang Sanfeng deep in the Wudang mountains, also known as Wutang. And right, you couldn't mess with it. It was really deadly. But now it's practiced by elderly people in the park to ease their arthritis. And when you do hear about people trying to use it in combat, it always goes something like this. Or this. But there are some very interesting accounts of this art in history, and one in particular which is the first mention in a historical document of Zhang Sanfeng as the founder of what is called Neijiaquan, or the internal school, which Taiji boxing is part of. This text is the epitaph on the grave of a man named Wang, who was said to be a high-level practitioner of the internal arts. I spent half a day painstakingly translating the whole text, so give me a like for that, and it includes fascinating stories of martial power, pressure point death touch techniques, martial philosophy, and also clues to why many of these skills are now lost and Tai Chi is not the art it once was. This is Record of a Once Deadly Art, the Wang Epitaph. So this is the epitaph written for a man named Wang who died in 1669. And there are some wild stories in here about this guy's martial arts adventures, but let's start from the beginning. The document starts off talking about the difference between the internal arts, which it says come from Zhang Sanfeng, and the external arts like Shaolin Kung Fu. The bravery of Shaolin is known to all under heaven. Their main use is offensive, for fighting people, and thus opponents have the opportunity to counterattack. Then there are the so-called internal arts, Neijiaquan. They make use of tranquility to overcome the enemy's moves. Any aggressor who attacks will be instantly knocked over. Thus, these arts are differentiated from Shaolin, which is called external martial arts, Waijiaquan. Internal arts probably started with Zhang Sanfeng of the Song dynasty. Zhang Sanfeng was a Daoist priest of Wudang Mountain. Emperor Huizong of the Song dynasty wanted to employ him in the imperial court, but the road to Wudang was blocked and his emissary could not get through. That night, Zhang Sanfeng dreamed of the Daoist immortal Xuanwu Dadi, or Xuandi, who transmitted a boxing art to him. When he woke up the following day, he could single-handedly kill over 100 bandits. So this is actually the earliest written document in history that mentions Zhang Sanfeng as the creator of the internal arts. It doesn't say specifically Taichi, but that name probably wasn't even in use at the time anyway, so it is assumed that that is what is meant. The document goes on to say that after 100 years, the art first spread to Shanxi province and then spread down to the Ningbo area of Zhejiang province, which is south of Shanghai. The art passes through several masters and several different branches until one of those branches ends up at a man named Shan Sinan and his student Wang Zhengnan, the guy whose epitaph this is. This section starts off talking about Shan Sinan. He deeply treasured the most profound parts of the art, and thus would only practice these aspects alone, so his disciples didn't get to see them. Wang Zhengnan watched Shan Sinan training from the floor above through cracks in the floorboards. Thus, he was able to get a general idea of what he was practicing. Sinan's own son was not gifted enough to become good at the art, and thus Sinan lamented that after his death there would be no one to inherit the style and pass it on. When Wang Zhengnan heard about this, he gifted several silver wine cups to Sinan to use as payment for high-quality teas. Sinan understood Zhengnan's intentions and started teaching him that which could not be taught. Zhengnan was very astute and gifted. After he learned these teachings, he would not show off his martial abilities at all, unless he encountered extreme difficulties. So this section gives us the classic story of the kung fu student peeking through a crack to learn the secret techniques that the master won't teach them. It sounds like a plot for a 70s kung fu movie. In this case though, luckily Wang Zhengnan does convince his master to teach him, but it shows a trait of many traditional Chinese masters. If they don't find a worthy person to teach, they will take their knowledge to the grave with them. And that is one of the key points as to why the earliest form of Taichi, the one from Zhang Sanfeng, is now lost. Let's keep going. After Wang Zhengnan learns the whole art form from his master, he becomes pretty formidable. One night he went out to look around and was captured by guards. His hands were bound and tied to a column in a corridor. There were a few dozen soldiers there drinking wine and watching him. Zhengnan stealthily picked up a piece of broken porcelain from the floor and cut the rope. He took some silver pieces, Chinese money in those days, out of his clothing and tossed them in the air. Those several dozen soldiers all fought over the silver and Zhang Nan made his escape. The soldiers did then chase him, but they all ended up thrown to the floor, laying there unable to get up. He ran several miles and ended up lost in some fields. The people guarding the field thought he was a thief and surrounded him. Of the men that attacked Zhang Nan, every single one was injured by him. One time, at the end of the year, he was traveling alone and encountered 7 or 8 army troops who tried to force him to carry a heavy load for them. Zhang Nan pleaded with them to try and get out of it, but they didn't listen, and he was forced to do it. When they got to a bridge, Zhang Nan put down the heavy load, so the soldiers immediately pulled out swords to attack him. As soon as Zhang Nan started to fend them off, the troops all started getting thrown to the floor. The metal weapons also fell to the floor with a clatter. This happened to several people. In the end, Zhang Nan picked up their weapons and threw them into a well. The troops then looked for a rope to hoist the weapons out of the well, but by that time, Zhang Nan was already far away from them. So these are kind of your classic Tai Chi Fa Jin stories of him throwing people across the room or across a field and they can't get up. But it seems it wasn't limited to just this. Whenever people attacked him, he would always attack the acupuncture points on their bodies. This, by the way, is called Dian Mai, but you'll often hear it pronounced in Cantonese, Dim Mak. There were death points, points that would make a man faint, and points that would make the attacker lose his voice. These were in accordance with the points on the acupuncture doll. This is a modern acupuncture doll, but in ancient China, they were actually made of copper, so they were called Tong Ren, or copper men, but it is the same thing, showing all of the acupuncture points. And you see this kind of thing in movies where someone gets paralyzed by acupuncture points being hit, and then there is another set of points that can undo the condition. And it seems there was one acupuncture point that did something quite amusing. There was once a mean-spirited young man who humiliated Wang Zhengnan. After his acupuncture points were attacked by Zhengnan, he could not pee for several days. He went to Zhengnan's door and apologized, and only then did Zhengnan undo the condition. Just imagine the guy's bladder filling up and he feels like he's bursting, and finally, after a few days, he's like, okay, I have to swallow my pride and go see Wang Zhengnan and apologize so I don't pop in an explosion of piss. But this stuff was dangerous, and Wang also had people doing the old trick of secretly watching him train to learn his secret techniques. There was also once a shepherd boy who secretly studied Zhengnan's methods and tried the techniques out on a fellow shepherd, and he appeared to instantly drop dead. Why would you try it on your friend? But it's alright, look what happens next. Zhengnan saw this and said, "That was just the acupuncture point that makes you faint. He will be up soon." And that's exactly what happened. It's the ultimate practical joke. Oh, your friend's dead. Surprise, he's not. But jokes aside, it is known that in older forms of Tai Chi, there were a lot of Dim Mak or acupuncture techniques, and Dim Mak was supposedly invented by Zhang Sanfeng. The epitaph also contains accounts of Wang's martial virtue, or Wude. Zhengnan was chivalrous toward people, and liked helping the weak and avenging injustice for people. But it is only when he first observed an injustice that he would act. There was one man who knew Zhengnan for a long time. He brought some gold to pay Zhengnan to avenge an injustice his younger brother had suffered. Zhengnan resolutely refused, saying, "Do you take me as a beast?" The next part of this document talks about Wang Zhengnan's military career, which was very successful, but he fought for the Ming dynasty, which during his career fell to the Manchu people who invaded from the north and founded the Qing dynasty. So he left the military after that and went back home and relied on subsistence farming to survive. A lot of people were astonished at this. He was a decorated military officer, he had opportunities to make money by teaching his martial arts, but instead he opted for the simple life and kept his martial arts on the hush-hush. There was one time when Zhengnan's friend introduced him to a martial arts instructor he had invited to teach them. Zhengnan's friend said to the martial arts instructor that Zhengnan was good at martial arts. The instructor looked sideways at him and said, "You are skilled at martial arts?" Zhengnan replied that he wasn't skilled. That instructor then straightened his jacket, raised his eyebrows and said, "Let's test our skills in a little match then." Zhengnan humbly declined, saying again that he was no good. The instructor thought that Zhengnan was afraid and strongly insisted on a match. Zhang Nan was thus forced to accept. The martial arts instructor was immediately knocked to the floor by Wang Zhengnan, but requested another try, only to be knocked down again, and ended up with blood all over his face. Thus, the martial arts instructor got down from his seat and respectfully presented 2 pieces of fine silk to Zheng Nan as a disciple would to a master. There's another instance of him reluctantly accepting a challenge when he's out visiting a temple with the author of the epitaph. I once went to Tiantong Temple with him. There was a monk called Shan Yan who was really strong. Even 4 or 5 people together could not pull his hands apart. But as soon as he got near Zheng Nan, he stumbled and fell over in pain. After this section about the monk, there is one final thought about the state of the internal martial arts. I'm not sure whether it is related to the fight with the monk or not. Zheng Nan then said, "People of today think that internal arts don't have anything dazzling to show off, and thus they mix in moves from the external arts. If it goes on like this, the internal arts will decline." And that is a very true point. Today there are 5 family styles of Tai Chi. All are most likely very different to what was around in the Ming Dynasty, with all of them having been altered from what was created by Zhang Sanfeng at the time. The human tendency to create something new that will give you and your family a legacy caused Tai Chi to have new moves added in and old moves taken out to the point where it is not the same art as Zhang Sanfeng founded. This, combined with the fact that many masters couldn't find students virtuous enough to teach, have led to the decline of this once great art. Now, don't think that I'm bashing people who do Tai Chi these days. The 5 family styles are still worth learning, and who knows, maybe there are some branches of the art that are unaltered, passed down by masters in private, waiting to be discovered. As for Wang Zhengnan, he died suddenly in 1669 after an illness that was brought on by the sudden death of his eldest son. The author of the epitaph finishes with a poem about him. He had that high of a skill level, but chose not to display it. In his whole life, he never sold his skills. Such integrity, what a tragic loss. As water flows and the mountains age, who will guard his lonely tomb? Hopefully, those that see this engraving in the future will be able to take some time to ponder it. Alright guys, that is the video for today. If you do any kind of Chinese martial art and want to win up to $5,000, why not enter the NTD Television International Chinese Martial Arts Competition? You can compete in the open-handed category or with weapons, and this is a forms competition, so you don't have to fight anyone. Just display genuine traditional Kung Fu styles. No modern wushu here, because the competition is all about reviving what is being lost in China. Registration runs until July 25th, and the competition will be held in New York City in mid-August. Click the link below for all details and to sign up. Please subscribe to our channel if you're new, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.